Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a principle that can absolutely revolutionize any process: continuous flow. It's kind of the secret sauce for some of the world's most efficient companies, and it's all about turning that chaotic, fragmented work into a smooth, powerful river of value.
Okay, let's just jump right in. I want you to take a second and think about your own work. Does it feel smooth? Like a seamless relay race where the baton is passed without a hitch? Or, and be honest, is it more like hitting every single red light on your way to a super important meeting? Just a series of frustrating stops and starts, with work piling up at every single step?
If you're nodding your head at the red light scenario, well, you're definitely not alone. That whole stop and go thing is incredibly common, and we can see it perfectly in a real-world example from a company called Apex. They were really struggling with their fuel line assembly process. So, this gives us a snapshot of a process that's broken into these disconnected islands. Each step, cutting, bending, testing, was basically its own separate department. And the result? It took a staggering 11 days, for a single part to make it all the way through the system.
Now, the reason for that huge lead time is what was lying between those islands, these massive piles of inventory. Work would get done in these huge batches at one island, and then it would just sit for days, waiting to be moved to the next one. This inventory, it isn't an asset, it's just waste that hides problems, ties up a ton of cash, and makes responding to customers basically impossible.
The great Taiichi Ohno, who was really the architect of the Toyota production system, he called this waste of overproduction our worst enemy. And why is that? It's because those oceans of inventory hide every other problem. Defects, machine downtime, you name it. You never fix the root cause because that buffer of inventory keeps things moving, just really, really slowly.
And this really highlights a fundamental choice we all have. On one side, you've got the world of batch and queue, where we just push these big batches of work between disconnected processes, creating all these long waits. And on the other, you have the elegant solution of continuous flow, where processes are linked, work is pulled in small amounts, and value just flows directly to the customer.
So what's the alternative to these isolated islands of work? Well, imagine your work as a smooth, fast-flowing river. In this ideal state, every single action adds value, carrying the product one step closer to the customer with absolutely no delays, no detours, no dams. That is the goal.
So here's the formal definition. Continuous flow, you might also hear it called one-piece flow, is all about making the value-creating steps of your process run one right after the other. One piece moves to the next step the second it's ready. No waiting, no batches, just pure, uninterrupted flow.
Now, this river of value doesn't just flow randomly. It has a current, a very specific speed, and that pulse is set by the customer. It's called takt time. It's actually a German word for a conductor's baton, which perfectly describes how it sets the rhythm for your entire system.
And you can calculate it with this super simple formula. You just take your available working time in a period, like the number of seconds in a shift, and you divide it by the number of units your customer wants in that same period. The result is your takt time. It's the heartbeat of your process. So for example, if you have 480 minutes of work time and a customer wants 480 units, your takt time is exactly 1 minute.
Okay, so if the ideal is a flowing river, how do we get there? How do we actually build the bridges to connect our islands of work and drain those oceans of inventory?
Well, it's not magic. It's a very deliberate four-step process. First, you have to calculate your takt time to understand the pace you need to hit. Then you meticulously analyze the actual work being done. Only after that do you start designing a physical layout or a cell that supports the flow. And finally, you standardize the work to make it repeatable and reliable every single time.
This is such a critical mindset shift, and it's honestly where so many initiatives go wrong. Before you even think about moving machines or desks around, you have to first deeply understand and improve the work itself. Get rid of the waste in the actions, the motions, the process steps. You have to improve the work before you can improve the workplace.
So what happens when you follow this method? Let's go back to our friends at the Apex fuel line cell and see what happened when they finally connected their islands and created true continuous flow.
The results were, well, they were nothing short of astonishing. This wasn't a 10 or 20% improvement. They fundamentally transformed every single key performance metric. It's just incredible.
Let's break that down for a second. The total lead time, so the time for just one part to get all the way through the system, went from that staggering 11 days down to just 37 minutes.
I mean, just imagine being able to fulfill a customer order in minutes instead of weeks. That's a total game changer.
Productivity just skyrocketed. It increased by over 340%. And get this, they did it while reducing the number of operators from 6 all the way down to 2.
And by getting rid of all that inventory that was just sitting around, they freed up over 80% of their factory floor. This is the incredible power of flow.
So, what should you really take away from all this? Continuous flow isn't just some obscure manufacturing tool. It is a powerful way of seeing and organizing any kind of work, whether you're processing insurance claims, developing software, or making fuel lines.
Your journey can really begin with these 3 powerful ideas. Start by just seeing the flow, the value stream. Then, find the customer's pulse by calculating talk time. And finally, you have to declare war on anything and everything that stops that smooth flow of value.
If you're inspired to go deeper on concepts just like this one, then come join us at the Kaizen Academy. We're building a whole community for learners who are dedicated to continuous improvement, so be sure to like and subscribe to become a part of it.
And that leaves us with one final crucial question for you to think about. Now that you can see the potential for a river of value in your own work, what are the dams, the batches, the delays, the approvals that are stopping it from flowing freely to your customer? If you can find them, you found the key to your own transformation.